Have you ever experienced your child getting frustrated when something doesn't come easy for them? They may give up quickly or start to whine, saying, "I can't," or "I don't know how." If this sounds familiar in your home, then this podcast episode may give you some helpful tools for managing this with your child. Welcome to the Parenting Tips Podcast. I'm Jeff Ryland. In this episode, we are going to talk a bit about why kids seem to fall apart when confronted with something that you think is seemingly easy or that they should be able to master. This is the first of a two-part series on helping children with self-confidence. In the second episode, we will zoom in a little more on how to help your child build their own self-confidence. In this episode, we'll focus on helping your child get over that hump of not trying or getting stuck when learning starts to get harder. Kids sometimes confuse knowing how something works and mastering it. When kids are really sensitive to failure or when the task becomes too hard, they may get frustrated quickly. They may feel vulnerable and quit. Some kids are perfectionistic and they get frustrated when the thing that looks so easy and seems so seamless is actually quite challenging. Highly sensitive kids may give up more easily when they cannot accomplish something right away. They may feel out of control or vulnerable, which leads to frustration. They may think, well, the task looks easy enough. Why can't they do it quickly? If your child leans toward being more perfectionistic, for example, the thing that they create or the task that they do must turn out exactly right, they will surely get frustrated if they are learning the new task for the first time. Why do some kids really struggle with new tasks and challenges and others struggle less or not at all? Well, there are three reasons for this struggle that we'll be covering in this episode. One or several of these reasons could be possible. What is your child's temperament? Or assessing whether the task is too hard. And finally, assessing if their inability to complete the task is a learned behavior. One possibility for your child struggling with a task could be their temperament. Think about your child's temperament as their developing personality. This topic is worth a whole other podcast episode, so we'll focus just on the parts that help us understand why some kids seem to struggle more than others. If a child leans more toward having a negative mood, they tend to get frustrated more easily when things don't go their way. I like to think about it as the Eeyore effect. You know, the adorable donkey from Winnie the Pooh who always is planning for the worst outcome. It's probably going to rain today. I never win at anything. Nobody likes me. Children with negative mood tend to see the cup of water as half empty. Another feature of temperament is withdrawal. Some kids are curious about new things and want to know. Some kids aren't curious at all. They avoid new things. If a child is reluctant to try new things or feels more overwhelmed when exposed to new tasks, they may just shut down. Children who are low in adaptability with small changes tend to struggle more when the new task is presented to them. Children who like things the same way to an extreme degree can become distressed when exposed to some new challenge or task. They just struggle with change. This more extreme rigid adherence to routine is different than all children who tend to do better when there's a fair amount of consistency and predictability in their days and in their environments. Even within routine days, change can occur. Finally, some kids have big emotions that overwhelm them when other kids just tend to roll with it. These big emotional responses can be triggered by the smallest change in routine, activity, plans, or not getting their way. The result may be unpleasant tantrums or many tears. When you think about your child's developing temperament, any or all of these elements can contribute to their struggle with learning new tasks. The second consideration when trying to get at the root of your child's challenges with change or with trying new things is to consider the task that you're asking him to do. Does the task match your child's abilities? Child development is a topic we have touched on way back in episode 6. Child developmental milestones that help us give a guide as to what your child is capable of doing can be really useful. This is a fairly rough guide because not all children develop at the same pace. Some children are more advanced in some areas and may lag in other areas, when other children may do the opposite. But it helps to give some thought to the possibility that the task is too difficult for the child. This doesn't mean that the child won't at least try once. They may see you do it all the time and want to help. They know how to do the task, but they've not mastered it. Take folding laundry. Your child may have watched you fold things many times, but at young ages, their effort to fold may be a bit entertaining. For many children who may be right on the edge of understanding a task, it may help to break down the task into smaller steps so they can learn to master each step separately before doing the whole thing. If you are not certain that your child can do the task, it may help to step back and check whether or not they have the ability to do it. This is an important step on your part because expecting a child to do something they just aren't ready or able to do can be really difficult for them and for your relationship with them. The third reason that you may hear words like "I can't" or "I don't know how" may be due to the pattern that is developed over time where you or others step in and do the task for them. This is called learned helplessness. While we want children to learn to do new things, we don't want them to learn to shut down so that others will do things for them. This is a challenge to assess. If your child falls into the group of children who struggle with doing new tasks or gets quickly frustrated and quits, stop and consider how you respond to them. For example, your child may struggle with getting dressed, cleaning up toys, doing schoolwork, or any number of things that you think they should know how to do. After making sure that your expectations are developmentally on par with where your child is at, you may decide to change your own response to the child. Instead of doing the task for them, it will be important to step back and give them time and incentive to learn how to do the task for themselves. This requires you, the parent, to be patient and allow your child to struggle a little bit before you jump in to fix it for them. In a previous episode, I retold the story from Annie Dillard's Pilgrim at Tinker Creek about a group of children who found a moth that was thrashing, trying to get out of its chrysalis. The children thought they were doing the moth a favor by cutting open the chrysalis for the moth. It did not end well for the moth because it needed to have that struggle in order to have its wings develop properly so that it could fly. This is very similar to allowing your child to struggle in order to learn new tasks. How you respond to your child's uncertainty in the moment is important to pay attention to. Your reaction to their frustration when they say, "I can't" or "I don't know how" is an important piece of your relationship with your child. If your response is negative, it could have lasting consequences that you don't intend. If the tone of your response conveys encouragement like, "I know with practice you can do this," your child is more likely to try. There are several things that parents say that don't help. These common approaches seem to contribute to the problem and ultimately fail. One of them is shaming your child. By shaming, I mean conveying to them that something is wrong with them, that they can't do the task. And it could take very subtle forms. For example, if they're struggling with a word list for spelling or the math homework assignment, you may say something like, "This is easy. I'm surprised you don't know this," or "You should know this." Step back for a moment. Imagine how it might feel to the child who's hearing it. Maybe they had to summon up courage to come to talk to you about the things they're not feeling very good about or very good at, only to have it thrown in their face. You telling them that it's easy. This backfires. The inner dialogue of the child might be, "I'm not really very smart. Even my mom or my teacher thinks I should know this. What's wrong with me?" Another common approach that is sure to backfire and create more tension in your home is to compare your child's ability or effort to someone else in the family. It's often a sibling, but it could be a cousin or a friend. The parent, in an effort to motivate the child, may say something like, "Even your little brother can do this," or "You're probably the only kid in your class who doesn't know this." While these kinds of strategies may have been intended to be more of an inspiration, they tend to backfire into negative self-talk for your child. The inner dialogue for your child will more likely be, "I really am bad. I can't even do what my younger sibling can do. I really don't like myself or them very much right now." We've already talked about the habit of doing tasks for the child. While it may seem easier to avoid a conflict or a hassle or the work of coaxing your child to try a new task, it generally backfires because while it saves you a little time, it confirms for the child that they really don't know how to do something. As a result, they may not get many chances to practice it in order to achieve mastery. Thankfully, there are quite a few things that parents can do and can say to help their child. The first strategy is to praise the effort and not the result. If your child is trying something for the first time, and if it doesn't work out, they may get frustrated and not try again. If they do complete the task, we sometimes make the mistake of getting excited and praising them for the results of their efforts. This can set the child up for expecting to get things right every time and to get praise for the results every time. A more effective strategy to help children overcome self-doubt, the I can't or I don't know how blues, is to focus on the effort they're making to learn the new task. For example, if a child is building a puzzle or tower and it keeps falling down, they may quit and do something else. However, if they're given encouragement for sticking with the task, even when the blocks fall down or the puzzle pieces don't fit together, they are more willing to keep trying. We want kids to try. Language like, wow, you worked hard at that. You tried over and over and it finally worked. You really stuck with that project until you got it. All of these words focus on praise on the effort and not the result. Praise statements like, good job, or that's really awesome, focus on the results. The second strategy is to model making mistakes. We all make mistakes. It's important to celebrate the mistakes we make. If you forget to put something on the grocery list or the cake you make comes out a little flat, it's good to just roll with it and show your kids that it's okay to try and fail. It's okay to flub sometimes. Trying something new in the moment and failing is also important. If you're trying to make something work and it takes a while to figure it out, it's important to share that experience with your child so they can see trying and failing is a normal part of learning. Validate the emotions, then help break down the task. When children are frustrated in the moment, it's important to help your child recognize the emotions they have in that moment and then help them break down the problems into smaller steps. For example, you could say, you look frustrated right now trying to build that Lego car. It's okay. Let's take a deep breath and then take a closer look. Where are you getting stuck? Oh, I see. This piece doesn't seem to go there. Something is missing. I'm wondering if you can find the small red piece to put there. Or if your child is struggling with learning a new school task. I can see you're mad right now. Let's take a deep breath together. Now, show me what you've tried to do so far. Oh, I see that you've done quite a bit of this part already. That looks good. I wonder if maybe you're getting stuck here. What would happen if we switch these around? Does that make it work better? Try new things as challenges. When kids struggle to take on new tasks, it's helpful to look for new challenges that can help create a growth mindset. You could call these daily or weekly challenges and make them into a game. It's always best to start with challenges that are fairly achievable so your child can build experience and confidence with succeeding. As they progress, the challenges may get harder. Again, it's important to pace the new and harder tasks so they continue to feel some success and they're willing to keep trying. Of course, modeling that you also fall short in some of these challenges is key. It's okay for parents to not know how to do stuff. Celebrate small successes and effort. When your child is successful, it's hard not to get excited. The excitement that they may experience is really hard to miss. And while you may also be happy that they're able to succeed at the task they initially struggled with, it's the effort they put in along the way, the determination to keep trying, the persistence to go back and try again when they faltered, that are the real values that we want to celebrate. Yes, be happy for the result, but remember to celebrate the effort. I mentioned this earlier in this episode, but one of the frustrations for children is that they don't quite get the difference between understanding and mastery of something. They can see someone else, usually someone much older, do something and think it's easy. Have you ever had that experience? You watched someone else do something a few times and thought, I can do that. Heck, How hard can it be? Only to struggle and fail because it was harder than it looked. The challenge for young children is that they confuse knowing about something and mastering it. Avoid extrinsically motivating rewards and work to build intrinsic rewards. Something you may want to reconsider is overusing treats or other extrinsic rewards to motivate children to try new tasks. Extrinsic rewards are those things that are external. While these may be good as temporary strategies to get kids to try a new task, it can become a slippery slope. If extrinsic rewards like treats, prizes, extra screen time are overused, then you can risk children only doing new tasks for the prizes and missing out on the more positive aspects of learning something new. Intrinsic rewards, things that are internal, those internal drives that we all want children to develop, are really important. Children like to learn new things because they're curious. They learn new things because they like challenges. They like to learn new things because it helps them feel more confident about themselves. One way to limit extrinsic rewards is to couple them with specific positive praise about the effort your child put in to complete a task. Once they seem to have mastered the task, it's okay to fade the reward and continue to use the specific positive praise. Treats, tokens, and stickers, small toys, all of those things can be useful, but again, they have their limits. What children really need is confidence to keep trying more, not more candy or small toys. Creating a fun learning environment can help your child stay with an activity long enough to get interested. Sometimes games can become a source of frustration for children who may not be familiar with the game or may not do well with losing. It can be helpful to make adaptations to games or activities to help your child learn basic skills before attempting to juggle the complexities of rules as well as skills at the same time. This is an example of breaking down tasks to make them more achievable. For example, if you pull out a Monopoly game and your young child is more interested in sorting out the money by color or playing with the little marker pieces, racing the car, or pushing the wheelbarrow or the shoe, you may do well just to have fun playing with those parts of the game. I was recently playing with my oldest grandson. We pulled out a new game. The box clearly stated, from age 6 to 96. He is shy of 6 by a year and a half. Rather than play the game, we practice using the game pieces to stack the different shapes according to the directions on the cards. Initially, he was frustrated, but by breaking the task down and helping him keep the block pieces in line, he was able to be successful in completing several shape towers. The pride he experienced after his first success spurred him to keep trying, even though the challenges got harder. He would be halfway to finishing the tower and would tip over. He would take a deep breath and start over. This is the kind of effort we want to see in all children. Another important strategy to help your child overcome the I can't or I don't know how blues is to help to reshape the narrative of their story. For example, they may struggle with trying something new. They may not do it often, but when they do, it may help to emphasize that they worked at the task, they thought about it, they kept trying, and they finally got it. They were able to do it all by themselves. Children delight in the mastery of new tasks, especially ones that they can do all by themselves. This kind of narrative helps build their confidence by resharing that formula for success, telling that story to relatives or other people. Keep trying until you can do it. It goes without saying that when children are frustrated, they most often vent to people that they know and trust the most. That is usually mom or dad. If you are a parent who gets frustrated with them, they may not turn to you as quickly. Work to build and maintain a positive relationship with your child so they know they can turn to you when they need help learning a new task. Avoiding some of the pitfalls of shaming or negative comparisons can go a long way to building this positive relationship. To recap, it is common for children to get stuck when trying to learn new tasks. Whether it is getting dressed, tying shoes, reading words, writing letters, basic math, putting together puzzles, building toys, or learning skills for a sport, kids can get frustrated when the task becomes harder than they thought it would be. Assess what is driving your child's difficulty with the task. Is it their temperament? Is it developmentally beyond their reach to learn and master? Or have they learned that if they just say they can't do the task, you'll step in and do it for them? Avoid the tendency to do the task for them unless you're really in a hurry. Be careful not to use shame or negative comparisons. Be mindful that while you may find the task easy and you think your child should be able to do it, there may be other factors, such as being tired or cumulative disappointments from the day that have piled up. We all have off days. Avoid language that implies the child is doing something wrong by not being able to complete the task. Focus on the effort of trying and not the result. Model failing yourself and model it well. Help your child express their feelings by labeling them. It's okay to be frustrated when something doesn't come easily. Break the problem or the task down into more manageable parts. Help your child to try new challenges often. Make challenges a fun part of your day with your child. Limit tangible rewards like candy, treats, or toys for mastering new tasks. Sometimes they can be temporarily helpful, but always pair those rewards with specific positive praise. Detailed praise given by a parent is far more valuable in helping your child build confidence. If your child struggles with "I can't" or "I don't know how" blues, these tools should help you soften the struggle and help them begin to try more often rather than just give up. It may help to have a list of firsts or a list of successes that you can share with your child and add to whenever they master a new task or when they feel frustrated because the next challenge feels a bit too hard. It helps to see a list of successes to keep them trying. In the next episode, we'll take a deeper look at building self-confidence. Thank you for tuning in and considering this parenting topic. I hope this information added to your growing toolbox for parenting your child or children. Please consider exploring other topics in this series. Remember, no one parenting tool can do everything. We need many tools to become the best parents for our children. Your children's future depends on you and the time and effort you invest in them today.